Hi there. Today I just wanted to talk about how we can use horse histories to see if our selections, our runners, are likely to win in today's race. And horse histories in the way that I'm about to share isn't something that many people use. It's something that can be very powerful when used correctly, and it can highlight what a horse is strong in and what a horse isn't strong in. So most people, when they look at past form, they look at the finish position of the horse, its past odds, what type of the race conditions there were, and all of that's valid information, all of that's useful. But they miss out on the key piece of information that we need to actually find those selections where we've got the potential edge. So when we actually analyze a race, we use ratings. Everybody who finds selections on horses uses ratings to some degree, whether it's just the official rating or custom ratings or speed ratings. It's a rating that measures the horse's performance in some way. And anyone who finds a selection on horses, if you find a selection on horses, is going to use that. They're going to use a rating somewhere in that process. We might look at speed ratings and form ratings, possibly trainer ratings. A strike rate is for a trainer is a kind of a form of a rating. How often does the trainer win? How often does a trainer win at this course? How often has a trainer won in the last 14 days? Same with jockeys. All of this is all these numbers that we have in horse racing are effectively ratings and scores to try and help us predict what's going to happen in the race. And that's great. But nobody uses these historically. Okay, you might go out and build a betting system on them historically and use them in that way, but you don't use them when you're actually looking at a race, when you're looking at a form. And this is where it can be really powerful. So if you open a horse's history, and you can see all of its past races, and you can find those races that have similar conditions to today. So we're looking for similar race type, similar ground, similar distance, and similar prize money or class. And we look for races where they've had similar conditions. And ideally, if you've got a horse that's got lots and lots of history, just look for the most recent ones. And ideally, we want a couple where the horse ran well, and if possible won, but certainly where it ran well. And we want a few where the horse didn't run well. And the other piece of information we want to take out of this as well is the horse's weight, what was being carried. And then rather than saying, oh, well, this horse ran well and in this race it was the favourite or not the favourite, or it's a year ago so it doesn't count. What we then do is we look at those races and we look at the ratings that we use every day, that we're using in the race we're looking at with this horse. We look at those ratings that it's had on each of these past races under similar conditions. And this immediately tells us one thing. It tells us whether today's ratings indicate that the horse has a similar potential to the day it did when it performed well, or if it has a similar potential to the day it did when it didn't perform well. And that question can be answered very quickly based on those ratings. And rather than using raw ratings, so just the score, it's easier to use the rank. So is the horse ranked first, second, third, fourth, fifth in the race for that particular rating? So is it the best, second best, third best, etc. So in the races where it won or performed well, was it ranked in the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for a particular rating? And in the races it performed badly, it was ranked maybe 7, 8, 9, 10, not in the top 4. So just big, broad brushstroke information like that. And we can use that in the race we're looking at to see whether the horse is at a similar level today against its competitors in that race that it was in when it won or performed well, or that it was in when it actually didn't perform so well and lost. So that is a great key piece of information. If you can do that over, say, 3, 4, 5, 6 ratings, 6 factors, that's going to give you a real insight into how likely the horse is going to perform into today's race. Because you're looking not only at similar conditions, you're looking at both races it performed well in and it didn't perform well in. And you're distilling that down into today and giving a direct comparison. The other thing that doing this is going to do is you're going to be able to see a trend. You're going to see whether the horse's ratings are generally going up or going down. And this will give you a trend as to whether the horse is generally improving or declining for each of those ratings. And most of the time you're going to find that across the majority of the ratings, it's going to be one way or the other. You're not often going to get 50% of the ratings you're using, the horse is improving, and 50% they're declining. There's going to be a trend one way or the other. Most will be going up or down, and then there'll be a few going the opposite direction. But that again, we're just looking at the big picture here, and that again gives you that perspective of whether this horse is generally improving or declining, and it can give you that picture very, very, very quickly. So that is also very handy when you tie that inside with the horse's history and how those ratings have worked for the horse historically. And again, you can just eyeball this, so don't get stressed about it. Don't spend hours on it. Eyeball it. Spend 5-6 minutes looking at each horse that you think is a contender in the race. So you want to first find the contenders, the top 2, 3, 4 horses that you feel are the strongest in the race. If you've got more than 4 horses, possibly 5 horses, you probably want to move on. There's probably too many in that race. So certainly using this method, it's going to start taking a long time using this method. But if you've got, the top 2, 3, 4 horses in the race, go into them and look at this information. Look at how the ratings compared under similar conditions where the horse both performed well and performed badly. See how they compare today. Are they on generally a par with the ones in the races where the horse performed well? Are they ranked amongst the other horses for those factors in a similar way to the races where the horse performed well or where the horse performed badly? That's a strong indicator of what might happen today. Look at the general trend. Is the horse generally improving or declining or staying the same? Are we expecting a similar performance, an improved performance, or actually we like to get a slightly declined performance? Again, general brushstrokes. Don't spend hours on it. Get a general feel for it. Move on. If you spend too long looking into this, you're actually going to make worse decisions because you're going to start questioning your own decisions. So just get that general feel and then move on from it. So obviously to do this, you need to already have found the contenders in the race, remove your eliminations. You can watch any of the other videos from the Race Advisor, either on YouTube, Facebook, where we look at how to do that contender process. I generally prefer or recommend to start by eliminating the horses that are worst, and then finding the ones from the horses that remain that are strongest. Because that just narrows the field. If you've got 12 horses and you can immediately get rid of 4, you feel better. You've only got 8 left to actually consider, and suddenly it becomes more a manageable experience. But when you've got those horses, use this technique. When you've found the strongest horses, before you bet, and you might only have 1 in a race, but when you've found those horses that you feel are strong, just run this technique 5 minutes, run it through, check the horse history for the factors that you are using in the race, check the improvement or the decline of the horse within those factors, and then that will help to decide whether actually this is likely to be a strong bet or not. It might just be that actually a horse that you might have been considering betting on to win, you might consider to be place each way, or possibly 80-20, because it just will give you that little extra edge, and you can get enough edge from this technique to push you into that level of profitability. So please do go out, use this technique, get stuck in, start using it today. You can use it at Aldermist, at the Race Advisor as well, which is our like real racing platform. So go over to Aldermist, www.raceadvisor.co.uk, create a free account there. You can start using this technique on that like real race environment for absolutely zero risk, and it will transfer straight across into live racing. So go test that out. Any questions, please leave a comment below this video. Get in touch. I would love to hear from you. Thank you.